All right, today I want to address a question that I get a lot of. It's regarding how to figure out where to sell your stuff, to who, and how much. This is a very, very common predicament that farmers find themselves in when they're trying to figure out what they're going to grow, where they're going to sell it, and all this kind of stuff. And so it does somewhat correlate to your crop planning, but it's really important to figure out where your stuff is going to go. And if you're new to starting a farm, if you've never had a farm before, you don't even really know where to start. So I want to talk today about some basic things you can do to do some market research to figure out if what you're going to do is going to sell or not. There was a comment there was a question in the comments earlier today that I noticed where somebody was talking about they want to get a microgreens operation going and they don't really know how much the market will bear and even where they're going to sell it. Are they going to sell at the farmer's market? Are they going to sell at restaurants? Are they going to put their stuff in a CSA? They don't really know where to start. So there's a variety of different ways of doing market research, but I find the most effective way to do market research is go to a farmer's market and see what's there. It's really easy to get a sense of what people are looking for based on what other growers are selling, and a surefire way to figure out what a farmer's market will take is you go there in the morning, look around at the tables, and then go back later at the day before it wraps up, because you might not spend a whole day there unless you want to do that, and then see what's left on the tables at the end of the day, because that's going to be very telling on what is selling and what isn't. If you go there in the morning, you see a bunch of people have salad mix, and then you come back later in the day and that salad mix is still sitting on the tables, that tells you that there's a saturation in salad mix at that particular market. And it's good to do this over a few markets, because sometimes a particular day is going to be anomalous. If the weather's really bad, if it's too hot, if it's rainy, you got to take those things into consideration. But as far as selling, let's use the specific example of selling microgreens. You want to figure out, are restaurants going to take these? Well, you can only do a certain amount of research on the internet, and it's only going to be so effective. Really what you need to do is you need to go, make phone calls and go into the restaurants and physically ask people. If a really great way to do it, if you want to figure out if a restaurant is buying local, where they might be getting it from, and if they need more of a particular product, is just phone them and pretend to be an overzealous customer. Just ask them, if are you guys buying, do you source local stuff? What are some of the farms you get stuff from? And without taking up too much of their time, with that basic info, you might be able to figure out more. So if you call a restaurant and they brag about, oh, we buy from this farmer and this farmer and this farmer, you can go and find those farms online. Most farms have websites today, and look at the kind of products they're selling. So you're really just going to kind of go down these steps of doing your own investigation to see if there's a niche for you, as if there's something that these farmers aren't providing that you could possibly provide. And that's really the process in which you do this. And so from there, you might make a call. Like say you narrow it down to a few restaurants, call a bunch, do that same thing, do your research, and then narrow it down further, and then make more calls from there. So now you might want to call that restaurant and actually be yourself. We're a farm, we're interested in supplying restaurants. Could I talk to the executive chef or the executive sous chef? Or sometimes it's the chef de cuisine, they call it in restaurant terms. Talk to them and maybe schedule an appointment. It's okay to pop in on restaurants too, but you don't want to pop in when they're busy, right? If it's a restaurant that does lunch and dinner, you don't want to show up when there's a bunch of customers there. You want to show up earlier on or at a time that's more convenient for them. And sometimes phoning in and just saying, hey, I'd like to set up a meeting. We're interested in supplying you guys, and I'd like to meet the chef. Set up a meeting. It really requires pounding the pavement. You got to get out there and you got to look around. If you use an app like Yelp, say for example on your phone, that app that's a restaurant review app, go cruise that and see who's talking about using local in your area, and then that's where you can get a base list to start from, and then narrow it down from there just by doing your own research. But it really comes down to going into these places or phoning them and just getting out there to figure it out. Now, as far as how much to sell a restaurant, once you've narrowed down your list of where you're going to start, who you're going to sell to, having those conversations with the chef is really just about, okay, how much of this product do you guys use on a weekly basis? You know, and usually restaurants will have, they might order twice a week. They might have an order for their early week, and then they'll have an order going into their weekend, because most restaurants do more business over the weekend. So, you know, calling and just figuring out, you know, how much are you using of this particular product. And some restaurants that are already, they're not sourcing local, but they're using, you know, from the conventional means of distributors, they'll be able to tell you. They can look at their order sheets and tell you, oh yeah, we use this many romaine hearts a week, we order pea shoots from this person, and we use this much a week. They'll be able to really break it down for you. And once you have those kind of numbers, you know, you want to go and make notes, but once you have those kind of numbers, then you can take that and then you know where to plan from. So if you know that, say, 5 restaurants are using 1 or 2 flats of pea shoots a week, then you know what to plan. You know what you need to have each week. And then you're just counting backwards to, okay, if I want to have this for this date, and I did this in my crop planting video if you go in there, you're just counting back to that planting date and then figuring out from there. So yeah, of course restaurants are more volatile than planning a CSA. A CSA is probably the easiest thing to plan because the boxes are for the most part predetermined. You know what's going to go in them, and then you just have to figure out your quantities from there. But with restaurants, it's kind of a crapshoot. You don't know for sure, but you try to get a framework and then work within that. And then over time, over the years, you're going to get better at it and you know what to predict. So hope that helps. If you guys want to see more stuff like that, please hit the subscribe button right now. Like and share these videos with your friends. Check out my Patreon page if you want to make, if you'd like to make a monthly donation to the show. It definitely helps me to take the time to make these videos better, to upgrade my camera equipment, and to continuously improve what I'm doing to get the message of small farming out there. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon.